On the night of December 27, 1986, 20-year-old Cara Knott was driving home to Escondido, California after visiting her boyfriend in San Diego. She was a student at San Diego State University studying to become a teacher, a bright young woman with her entire future ahead of her. As she made her way home along Interstate 15, the road was quiet, it was late, and she had made this drive many times before, but on that night, something felt different. Danger lurked where she least expected it. Not far from the Mercy Road exit, flashing red and blue lights filled Cara's rearview mirror. A California Highway Patrol officer, later identified as Craig Pyre, signaled for her to pull over. Pyre wasn't just any officer, he was a veteran, well respected in the community. He had been with CHP for over 13 years, and had even appeared in television interviews giving safety tips to female drivers. He seemed like the kind of officer people could trust, but behind the uniform there was something much darker. Pyre had a history of targeting young female drivers. Multiple women later came forward reporting that he had pulled them over for no apparent reason. He would separate them from the highway, lead them to an isolated spot, and make them feel trapped. Some described how he stroked their hair, touched their faces, or asked them personal questions that had nothing to do with a traffic stop. What happened next in those final moments remains unknown. Investigators believe that Pyre tried to assert control over Cara in the same way he had with other women, but this time, something went wrong. Cara, sensing danger, likely resisted. A struggle broke out. The details are unclear, but the end result was horrifying. Pyre strangled Cara to death with a rope. In a desperate attempt to cover his crime, he dragged her body to the edge of a bridge and threw her into the dry creek bed below, leaving her in the cold darkness of the ravine. Her car remained abandoned on the roadside, eerily silent as Pyre drove away, thinking he had gotten away with murder. Back at home, Cara's family grew increasingly worried. She was supposed to be home hours ago, and it wasn't like her to disappear without calling. As the hours stretched on, her parents filed a missing person report. The next morning, a driver spotted her car on the side of the road. The discovery led police to search the nearby area, where they found Cara's lifeless body beneath the bridge. Her family's worst fears had come true. At first, authorities had no suspects, but then, a shocking detail surfaced. The same officer who had been giving news interviews about the case, offering safety tips and urging women to be cautious, had fresh scratches on his face. Soon, other women came forward, describing their terrifying encounters with Pyre. They had all been stopped in the same area where Cara was last seen. Some had even reported him before, but nothing had been done. Then came the physical evidence. Cara's sweater had fibers matching Pyre's uniform. His patrol car showed signs that he had been involved in a struggle. The pieces were falling into place, and there was no doubt Pyre was the last person to see Cara alive. In 1988, Craig Pyre was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to 25 years to life in prison. The jury saw through his lies and determined that the officer who was sworn to protect had instead betrayed the very trust he was given. Even behind bars, Pyre never admitted to his crime. At every parole hearing, he has refused to take responsibility. For that reason, he has been repeatedly denied parole, with the judge and Cara's family ensuring that he never walks free again. After Cara's murder, her family worked tirelessly to ensure that something like this would never happen again. Her father, Sam Knott, fought for changes in law enforcement policies, advocating for stricter hiring and monitoring of officers. A memorial was built at the site where she was killed, a solemn reminder of the tragedy that shook San Diego. But one question still lingers: how many other women did Pyre terrorize before he was caught? Cara Knott's story remains a haunting example of what happens when power is abused, and how sometimes the greatest danger comes from those who are meant to protect us.